New defenses are being released with Town Hall 15. You can now use spells on your base for defense, and the most powerful defense of all, the Monolith. Welcome, my friends. Yesterday, we revealed Town Hall 15 in Sneak Peek 1. We also showed numerous buildings that are getting upgraded, and you will find out what is inside those buildings in future sneak peeks. Let's go ahead and get the defenses built first, then I can go ahead and explain exactly what they are, what the upgrades will do for you because they are pretty unique, and then give you some strategy as well. We have 2 spell towers which we can build, 14 million gold each with 14 days build time. The wizards have developed a fully automated way to give your village more ways to mess up the attackers. Let me tell you, these spell towers will certainly do that. They are very tricky. But the Monolith is a dark elixir defense. 18 days to build, 300,000 dark elixir, and you can only have one of those on your base. It says the stronger the Monolith's target, the more damage it does. And let me tell you, this is very powerful against heroes and the stronger high hit point troops, such as the new E-Dragon level we revealed in yesterday's video. So this is the Monolith at level 1. It does a base damage, which is 150 at level 1, but extra damage based on a percentage of the target's max health. So the greater the health of the target, i.e. the Barbarian King, the more damage it does. It will attack ground or air troops, but it can only attack one troop at a time. So it's susceptible to more of a swarm attack. It's not going to be the most powerful against a lava loon, for example, but if your balloons do not take it out and it locks onto a hero, it could do significant damage. You can upgrade it to level 2, which will give you an extra 50 damage per second, and increasing that extra damage to 15% of its target's hit points. A little bit extra hit points for the defense itself as well. 360,000 dark elixir with 19 days in order to upgrade. Obviously, if you do have the gold pass active and some of the perks, that might be a little bit different for you. But that is what the Monolith looks like at level 2. Pretty daunting if you ask me. In terms of the Monolith as a defense, you can think of it very similar to the Grand Warden altar. The way that it attacks the troops is very similar, but you can see the damage output is significantly greater. Again, the Monolith has the base damage, but then it has that 15% damage bonus, which did have a greater impact on the Barbarian King since he has greater hit points. So you understand how it works, but you will very rarely be able to just attack the Monolith by itself. So let's take a look with a couple of the storages in front. Just look at how quick it gets through the Barbarian King and then is still locked onto the King, so can take that out. But this is a prime example that then lots of troops can just swarm it. So I believe the Monolith will be best placed wherever you think your opponent's heroes will be attacking you, whether that be the Town Hall, your defending heroes, or the Clan Castle, because you want it to lock onto the high hit point troops. This is basically a hero counter defense. Just want to say, I can't believe how epic this is for only the second sneak peek. There's plenty more to come, so be sure to subscribe to see them. We actually hit 2 million subscribers, and I cannot thank you all for the support from the bottom of my heart. I just want to make you the best Clash of Clans content possible, and I am so grateful for the support. Alongside the Monolith, we also have those spell towers. So 14 million gold each, and we can build 2 of those. Let's build both of them first. So we have 2 spell towers. You may or may not be able to guess, but at level 1, these are rage spell towers. We can upgrade the tower with 16 million gold and 16 days upgrade time to get to level 2. That will increase the hit points, but it will also unlock a new spell, in that of the poison spell. So essentially, by upgrading the spell tower, it doesn't make the rage spell any stronger, but it gives you access to the other spells, in which you can see the poison at level 2 and the invisibility at level 3. If I go ahead and upgrade that, you can see that we will then have the option to switch to to the Poison Spell Tower. It is only the hit points of the spell tower itself that are increased with the new level. So an extra 300 here going to level 3, this time giving us the invisibility. Now I know what you're thinking. That is going to be incredible. Trust me, it is. 18 million gold, 18 days to upgrade, but they are so unique and so fun that I would just upgrade both of them so that you have access to all 3 spells with either tower. Arguably, the poison spell is the best. I'm going to give you a full breakdown and a little bit of strategy of all of the different levels. It's actually very easy to see either in the village edit mode or within your base itself which defenses your towers will be covering. Starting with the Rage Tower, there is actually 2 circles for the Rage Tower. The inner purple circle, these are the defenses that will actually be raged up once it is activated, and you can see here that the Scattershot and the X-Bow are glowing purple. The Monolith is not glowing, so it will not be raged up. But the Rage Tower does have that outer circle as well. This is the trigger radius. So you can notice if we were to move the spell tower just 1 tile across to the left, then the Monolith becomes in range. Let's take a little bit of a look at the descriptions of each spell tower, so when we get to the gameplay, you understand it a little bit more. So starting with the Rage Tower, the first one you unlock, the duration in which the rage will rage up any of the defenses in the area is 18 seconds, and the damage is increased by 100%. This is the base damage, so for example, the new level 10 X-Bow at 215 damage per second would be boosted to 430. That's pretty awesome, isn't it? However, this is the important part with the spell towers. Recharge time 50 seconds. So as an attacker, if you trigger this, it will be effective for the 18 seconds, but then you have 50 seconds to swoop in and try and take it out whilst it is not active. Switching to the Poison Spell Tower, the outer circle remains the same because the Poison Tower also has 9 tiles in range. Just like the Rage Tower, it is also activated as soon as a unit is inside that range for 1.2 seconds. However, the Poison Tower will target the poison towards the unit inside that range, unlike the Rage Tower, which drops it in the dead center. The effect duration will be for 12 seconds. I would argue that's pretty significant if you catch a group of E-Dragons in there, and then it has a 1-minute recharge time. Finally, we have the Invisibility Spell Tower. This has an even shorter range than the Rage Tower itself. We were to move the Rage Tower 1 tile to the left, you can notice that the Invisibility Tower will not cover the Monolith, whereas the Rage Tower would. So it has slightly less range in that of 4.5 tiles. It has a 4.5 second effect duration, which to be honest is more than enough, because if it redirects your troops, it's incredibly difficult to get them back to the target. And then it has a 40-second recharge time. Also important to let you know before we dive into specific gameplay for the towers individually, they do not stack if you are using the same spell tower. So for example, if we have the Rage Spell Tower, which is covering the Monolith in the center, it obviously gets a 100% damage increase from that. If you have another Rage Tower also covering that defense, it will not stack. So it's not like you get 2 times the 100% damage increase, only 1 spell tower will cover it. However, if you were to have a different spell tower, so for example, the Invisibility Tower and the Rage Tower, then it would be raged up and invisible. So you can cover one building with 2 different types of spells, but if you have the same spell, it does not double up. You might be thinking, I'm just going to stack as many defenses inside the spell tower radius as possible. You might leave yourself susceptible to the lightning and earthquake method. Whilst once the spell tower is destroyed, it will be activated. It obviously doesn't matter if your opponent can just lightning everything out. It is 1 earthquake and 4 lightning spells to take down any of these spell towers. More than likely, people will take more than this to take the defenses around it. Even once the Invisibility Spell Tower is destroyed and the defenses are invisible, they are invisible, not invincible, so you can still take them out. Just be aware away so you are not leaving too much of your base vulnerable to the lightning and earthquake method. I'm going to deep dive into each spell tower after this, but I did want to let you know you can easily leave your base vulnerable to the skeleton and bat spells activating the spell tower. You need fast firing defenses. What I found was typically the multi-target inferno was the best option. If you find a base that is susceptible to activating the spell tower with either the bats or skeletons, then you do want to take advantage, but I will say it can be a little bit hard to judge. First up, the rage spell tower. You will notice once the king is inside that trigger radius for 1.2 seconds, it activates, boosting up the expo. Now this is one singular defense. Obviously there could be others in there as well, but you can notice the difference it makes. A 100% damage increase to the expo, and even though this is just in isolation, you can clearly see how much more hit points the barbarian lost in this scenario. I finally figured out a way to demonstrate this to you. Keep an eye on the Valkyrie that is not initially attacked by the bomb tower. Now the rage spell tower will boost base damage only. It will not boost secondary damage, i.e. damage when destroyed, such as the giant bomb under the bomb tower or the giga bomb from the town hall. Interestingly, with the rage spell tower, it will boost your defending heroes, but only by 50%. So essentially the damage boost is halved. And this is exactly the same on attack, by the way. If you use a rage spell on your queen, you only actually get 50% of the boost you would get if you used it on troops. Did you know that? You do now. I am sure you will be pleased to know that your defending clan castle troops, though, since they are troops not heroes, will get the 100% damage boost. So just look at this P.E.K.K.A. and the amount of damage it can do. I think the rage spell tower might be well used near a clan castle, but I believe the poison spell tower might be even better, and I'll go into a little bit more strategy towards the end of the video. Whilst it would be absolutely hilarious, the one defense the rage spell tower does not impact is the air sweeper, since it doesn't do any damage, but it would be funny to see E-Drags getting pushed completely off the map. I feel there was a lot more mechanics to test for the rage spell tower, such as this one. Does it impact the battle builders? And obviously in these sneak peek videos, whilst I give you strategy, I want to make sure you thoroughly understand how the new content works. So even though I deployed more barbarians to the left, since the battle builder hut was raged up and taking them out quicker, you can see that the repair itself was also faster, so the rage spell tower will impact the repair of the battle builders. Interestingly, you can impact the spell towers with your attacking spells. Mainly this is going to be the freeze spell, so freezing the spell tower so it can't take effect. In this case, the rage tower, once the freeze wears off, the 1.2 seconds resets, and it will then deploy the defending rage spell. Just so you know, lightning spells, I was able to get it whereby I was resetting the spell tower. You're not going to want to do this, highly inefficient, and obviously you activate the tower once you destroy it anyways. The spell usages here are consistent throughout all the towers. I know I am showing you it just with the rage tower. I did try the poison because against battle builders it slows down the repair, but it did not slow down the activation rate of the tower. The other spell that is important to mention is the invisibility spell. If the spell tower cannot see your units, then it will not activate. Remember though, siege machines are immune to spells, so you would have to freeze the spell tower in order to get the battle blimp to the area you wanted if you wanted to do a blizzard, which by the way is a brilliant counter to the spell towers. But just know you're going to need that freeze spell because the siege machine, being a unit, will activate the tower. This is where I'm going to transition to the poison spell tower because I feel it has an advantage over the rage tower. If your opponent does not freeze the rage tower and they use a blizzard, whilst the defenses are raged up, they do extra damage. If the troops are invisible, then that rage is useless. Check this out though, exactly the same thing but with a poison spell tower. Since it activates and the troops are turned invisible, the poison is still there. It's directly impacting the troops, not the defenses, so even though they get a couple of shots off, the blizzard is wiped out. The blizzard is one counter to the spell towers. The freeze spell is another, like I mentioned earlier, but I wanted to show this example because I feel it again demonstrates one of the benefits of the poison spell tower over the rage spell tower. We freeze through the towers here. Once the rage spell activates, there's no more defenses in the area, so essentially it does nothing, but the poison spell still slows their king down. There could be other defenses firing at at the king, but that are out of range of the rage spell tower, still doing greater damage since it's taking him longer to get through these buildings. And since it's taking longer, you might force your opponent to time fail. So a couple of advantages of the poison tower, and the reason I'm directly comparing these two rather than the invisibility spell tower is that is activated differently, it operates differently. The rage and the spell tower are very similar. The rage doubles the damage of defenses. The poison you could think of as halving the attack of the troops since they are slowed down. So they balance each other out. But that's just an example of why I feel the poison will be greater than the rage spell tower. The invisibility spell tower then, this is where it gets interesting. So in its simplest form, remember, either the tower or a building within its range attacked, and then 1.2 seconds later, the invisibility spell will be placed. This redirects the troops, in this case the king, to the bomb tower, but then after 4.5 seconds of the invisibility, it will be gone, and there is a 40-second recharge of the tower. So the idea from a base design perspective is by turning buildings invisible, you can push troops so far away that they're not coming back. So in this case with the town hall, it will still attack whilst it's invisible, but that's not why you're turning it invisible. If damage were what you were worried about, you would be going with either the rage or the poison spell tower. If you turn that building invisible and you can force your opponent's troops so far away on the base that they're not coming back, that's why you would use the invisibility. Once the update lands and everyone is new to this, I feel we will see a lot of invisibility spell towers around the town hall, but this will dwindle off as people learn how to counter it. So for example, the sneaky goblin. All you need to do is attack a building within its radius, it will trigger, wait the 4.5 seconds, then you're good. So you could then send in another set of sneaky goblins to the town hall. Maybe you have a warden walk at the opposite side of the base. Once the town hall is down, again, you have 40 seconds before that invisibility spell tower will activate again. So you can then make a push into the base in order to take it out, any of the defenses that would become invisible from it. So I feel it's a little bit easier to counter in that sense. And there's obviously numerous ways of activating it and therefore countering the invisibility spell tower. I've set up a rough area of a base. I like queen charging around the town hall on these anti-3-star layouts, but the log launcher, the logs from the siege machine can activate the tower. The 4.5 seconds is gone before your troops even get there, so you've not lost anything. I do think the invisibility spell tower will result in a lot of 1-stars, some funny replays, but once the update is in the hands of millions of players, we will be finding out even more ways of triggering it, countering the spell tower, and therefore meaning the rage and the poison might just be better options. You can let me know how you plan to use the spell towers though, and if you want to see yesterday's Town Hall 15 video, I have it linked on your screen. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.